Hello, this is Jeremy Mitchell, and we are back with another episode of the Libertarian Uncensored podcast, going over all the posts on the Libertarian Uncensored subreddit. Let's get right into it. So first we have, Google illegally maintains monopoly over internet search, judge rules from apnews.com by Patom13, and I said in response, disagree, most people aren't forced to go there instead of Bing or DuckDuckGo, and that's my thought on that issue. Next we have, it's honestly concerning how many people think a person being elected or credentialed makes them smart or even right. The left does it with people in academia and degrees, the right does it with people in authority or who are popular. When you outsource your critical thinking like this, you get what you get. The fact that so many people do explains where the country is at now, and that was Hannah Cox on Twitter, and that was her response to the recent Google ruling. And I said in response, people love to question authority, except if it's authority that they agree with. And that's my thoughts on that issue. You know, people should always question authority even if they agree with it, and that's how I feel about that. Then we have stop replying to trolls from Coastal Schmostal, and they said, just stop replying to Jim, stop replying to Chad, stop replying to all the rest of them. If you have bought into libertarianism to put your beliefs to good use and let bad trolls get bored by not giving them oxygen, enough is enough. We are, as a community, need to stop feeding this behavior. All it brings is us bringing Twitter posts and YouTube videos. Let's put community action to good use and not feed these trolls anymore. Don't take their bait, just downvote and move on. And I said in response, you right now, I linked to the meme of the guy going over to the people playing the game. He says, those games suck, you know. It's just the same game from last year. Quit having fun. You know, that's pretty much it, you know. They just don't want people to do what they want to do. You know, they're saying, "Oh, I'm a libertarian," but they say they want collectivist action to stop people from interacting with people like me. And I don't think that's very libertarian. I think the libertarian position is, you know, if people want to interact with them, they should be able to. But if people don't want to interact with you, then they shouldn't be forced to do so. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Harris picks Walz for VP from The Hill, and I posted that, and I said, very uninspiring choice, pretty much Tim Kaine 2.0. Clinton was always going to win Virginia, just like Kamala was almost certainly going to win Minnesota. Her best choice of her top six was either Mark Kelly or Andy Bashir. Shapiro would have pissed off the progressive wing as a Zionist Jew. Buttigieg would have been leaning too hard in Tim Pool, being the token gay. And Pritzker would have pissed off the progressive wing as a billionaire. And I also added, from all the downloads gained from posting my first comment on some progressive subreddits, I agree that Walz might be leaning too hard into the progressive wing, if anything. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Harris selects Minnesota Governor Tim Walz's running mate, aiming to add Midwest muscle to ticket from apnews.com by Donald Key. And I shared a quote of his from, and I said in response, Tim Walz said, one person's socialism is another person's neighborliness. And that just goes to show you how the Democratic Party is increasingly normalizing socialism, and soon they'll be flat out Marxist. I would argue that they pretty much already are Marxist. Same with the Republican Party, and that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have LOL. I wonder if our resident conservatives bought some LOL from Slayer 911, and that's a meme from Patriot Takes on Twitter. I think it's Tim Pool. He tweeted on March 26, 2024. Just bought some stock DJT, and then August 5th, 2024. He says, "Wow, I've lost a lot of money." And I said in response, "I've never personally invested in the stock market. I know my parents bought some Disney stock for me when I was a kid, but I think we sold it off a while ago, which is good because they are the epitome of go woke, go broke currently." And that's my thoughts on that issue. Yeah, I personally think if you want to invest in anything, you should be able to do so. But with that being said, you know, don't be surprised if your investment doesn't end up being the best, especially if you don't do your research into things. Then we have I might have to vote for him now from Chad Muffin. That's a tweet from, looks like the person who tweeted it was cut off, but it says, Kamala Harris picks Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as VP. Would be a pity if his mugshot from his DUI restaurant viral. He was going 96 and a 55 with blood alcohol levels 0.128. He lied to police about being deaf in an attempt to avoid arrest. And yeah, it just goes to show you that, you know, what Trump's mugshot was a big thing, but now here he has a mugshot and no one's really going to care. And it just goes to show you how it's all really about the narrative rather than anything else. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have When the government surprises us by doing something great, from Ragnar OKXG, and that's crosswords from the Public Freakout subreddit. Tim Walz signs bill to provide free school meals, breakfast and lunch for Minnesota students regardless of their family's income. And I said in response, there is no such thing as a free lunch. You know, I think if taxpayers want to pay for free lunches in the schools, I think they should be able to do so. But with that being said, I don't think they should be forced to pay for it if they don't want to. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have 150 Years of Libertarian from the anarchistlibrary.org by Malatesta Fiesta. And yeah, that looks interesting. Yeah, I'm glad that the word libertarian's been going on for so long, and I hope it can continue to go on 150 more years into the future. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Meet the Little-Known Activist Group that has tens of thousands of doctors registering patients to vote from Washington Free Beacon, and I hosted that, and that was about how a progressive voter group is registering people in psychiatric hospitals to vote for Kamala, and I said in response, but it's illegal for psychiatric hospital patients to vote. Murder is legal as well, but that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. And it just goes to show you how those in who the concept of the election is, I would argue, is inherently prone to stuff like this, because people are going to inherently try and find a way to get as many votes as possible, even if they try to do so unethically from people who barely even know where they are. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have X, owned by Elon Musk, brings antitrust suit accusing advertisers of a boycott, from nytimes.com by Donald Key. And I personally don't think he has a right to any advertisers. I do agree the advertisers are treating him unfairly. But with that being said, the free market, we should say we support freedom of association for the free market, and that's my thoughts there. Then we have bot post pre-written text about the VP without actually using VP name, from Donald Key, and that's crosswords from the Facepalm subreddit. And it's a picture from the conspiracy subreddit. Insert name once announced as the worst VP pick in history and a literal communist bound destroying America. And that just goes to show you how Reddit's pretty much nothing but bots at this point. And the people who are on Reddit, they're pretty much indistinguishable from bots, it seems like, when it comes to accepting whatever narratives they are told to accept. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Trump wanted to run against Joe so badly he's now making up weird fan fictions, and that's from Donald Key, and that's crosswords from the Political Humor subreddit, and that's his links to a truth from Donald Trump. What are the chances that crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of the U.S., whose presidency was unconstitutionally stolen from him by Kamala, Barack Hussein Obama, crazy Nancy Pelosi, shifty Adam Schiff, crying Chuck Schumer, and others on the lunatic left, crashes the Democrat National Convention and tries to take back the nomination, beginning with challenging me to never debate, he feels he has made a historically tragic mistake by handing over the U.S. presidency, a coup, to the people in the world he hates most. He most hates, and he wants it back now. And then Donald Key said in the comments, is he literally senile? And I said in response, at least he and Biden have the age excuse for why they are brain dead. That's more than I can say for Kamala. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then next we have Tim Walz was a COVID-19 tyrant from Reason, and I posted that, and I said, we'll probably only make the denizens of the subreddit love him more. Same with this, and I linked to another article from Reason. Tim Walz is against unaccountable wars, but he voted to fund them anyways. And I also heard that, he thinks misinformation and hate speech aren't protected by the First Amendment as well. I just saw a video from Defiant Ellis on Twitter about that, and that just goes to show you that how he's an authoritarian just like the rest of them. And yeah, if you don't like Trump and want to vote for Kamala Walz, I think you should be able to do so. But with that being said, don't be surprised when he stabs you in the back with his supporting of government authoritarianism. And that's my thoughts on that issue. He also, threw COVID positive patients in nursing homes and justified a hotline stitched on people for COVID violations, and I don't think that's too libertarian. A lot of people hate authoritarianism until the narrative says it's good, and that's another fault I had on that. Then we have the people responsible for the worst ideas in society look like the right more often than they look like the left, from Jeremy Kaufman on Twitter, and I posted that, and then he added, low-T bleeding heart liberals are everywhere, and they won't always die their hurt to tell you, and then the person on the right is Tim Walz, the person on the left is some woke person, and I said in response, It's the person on the right who oftentimes is the one enabling the person on the left. And I linked to a Twitter thread from Dark Hegel, who said Tim Walz signed a bill which redefined the term sexual orientation to include pedophiles. A thread on February 13th, 2023. Lee Fink, a trans, I don't know if you can say that for Reddit, but they were a trans woman, so it doesn't say that here, but they say they're trans-identified male. But call them whatever you want. They are probably one of the more woke Democrats currently serving. Introduced HF number 1655, which redefines sexual orientation. And the amendment, Fink crossed out section that expressly precluded pedophiles from falling under the definition of sexual orientation. And that just goes to show you that bad faith actors are increasingly using the social justice movement to get to normalize themselves. And that's not good. I don't think we should be normalizing pedophilia. Increasingly, you can't even call them pedophiles anymore. They're trying to push to replace the term with MAPS, minor attracted persons. I don't think that's right. That's my fault on that issue. I think if you want to call yourself a MAP, I think you should be able to. But with that being said, I will always try and stigmatize pedophilia because I don't think that's libertarian. I don't think kids can consent to relationships with overage. With adults, and that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have I bet toilet paper is communism too from Chad Muffin, and that's a tweet from Shia Rychek, hashtag Compound Tim. And I don't know why I don't know where this Tampon Tim nickname is coming from, but it's an entertaining nickname. We'll see how see if it sticks with that nickname. And then we have What the Fuck from Ragnarok XD, and that's the same truth post from Donald Trump that we just talked about a few posts ago. And I don't think Donald Trump is all with it currently. But that being said, no one really seems to be with it anymore when it comes because of all the how the world's gone crazy. And that's my thoughts about that issue. Then we have, is there anyone in the sub who identifies as libertarian from Ravenor's Recliner? And I said, or is this just another open Democrat propaganda subreddit? And I said in response, you get used to it. You can always join me in breaking up the circle jerk. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have, is libertarian position to be neutral if war breaks out between the U.S. and China/Russia/Iran? And I said in response, I was supposed to lie made, and I said, I would argue that it is. The U.S. would definitely be the lesser of two evils in that scenario, but as libertarians, we tend to reject that line of thinking when it comes to U.S. presidential elections. Thoughts. And I said, and then, that's my thoughts on that issue. And, I guess we have to see if the war does break out. You're definitely seeing emphasis in regards to Israel for Iran, Ukraine for Russia, and Taiwan for China. And, that's my thoughts on that issue. So I definitely do think if war does break out, I'm gonna probably be neutral, and that's my thoughts on that issue. I personally will probably be more sympathetic to the U.S. side, even though the U.S. government is on my side, because I don't really care for the open authoritarianism of China or Iran. With that being said, I don't think the U.S. government isn't on my side either, and that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Intimidation, Terrorism 101 from CH for Locks, and that's crossovers from the Interesting as Fuck subreddit. It's the TikTok, ex-Israeli soldier breaks the silence on their occupation. And I said in response, Reddit isn't serious when it comes to Israel. They just switched out Genocide Joe for Genocide Cam, and now they love the Dems again. And that's my thoughts on that issue. And I think we're gonna wrap it up there. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.